So I want to welcome all of you to our health talk, wherever you are from. Glad to have you. This afternoon, we're focusing on the polyphenols of berries, why berries are so important. And in particular, we're going to be looking at cranberries in the light, of course, of our need to keep our immune system strong as the COVID SARS-CoV-2 virus continues its mutations, producing new variants, and we are in a state of uncertainty with regards to that particular phenomenon. We need to keep our immune systems in the best possible shape, and we're going to be talking about that in the light of berries and cranberries as well, and some new findings. So welcome. And I will now share the screen and proceed. And may God be with us as we discuss. So berries that is our subject, berries. And I'm going to begin by saying that fruit, including berries, are highly recommended in the book Counsels on Diets. Here's a quotation. It would be well for us to do less cooking and to eat more fruit in its natural state. Let us teach the people to eat freely of the fresh grapes, apples, peaches, pears, berries. And of course, in our Caribbean setting, we have the jamun berry now going out of season, but on our morning walks, we feasted on those on most mornings, going for walks in various parts of this area. And some people don't even know the jamun berry. They think it is dangerous. You should eat it right. It is rich in polyphenols, which we'll be discussing. And next in season would be what we call dunks, which are berries as well, of a different type. And of course, we have gooseberries, and all berries, as we shall see, are very rich in polyphenols, but we're going to be focusing on some important ones in the cranberry. So here's a statement from Counsels on Diets. And of course, as we approach the end, we have to become more natural, more raw, less cooking. Of course, there's certain things we have to cook, certain grains, ground provisions, and so on. But when it comes to fruit and green leafy vegetables, and certain vegetables, we can handle most of them raw to get the best effect. Okay, let me go to slideshow anyhow. So fruit, including berries, are highly recommended in the book Counsels on Diets, and it would be well for us to do less cooking and to eat more fruit in its natural state. Just checking, can everybody still see the slides?
Yeah.
Good, okay. Now we come to these compounds called polyphenols. You would have heard me use this word many times before. Polyphenols are natural compounds characterized by multiple phenol units. For those with a chemical background, that is a benzene ring with an OH. These polyphenols include flavonoids, tannins, ellagic acid, flavonols, and triterpenes.
Brother Douglin,
They help keep the arteries healthy.
You haven't changed.
That slide is not
the first slide.
Okay. All right.
You have to change the one.
Don't know what's happening there. Let me try again. Sorry. This can be seen now?
It's still the first slide.
Still the first slide?
Yeah.
Okay. This one?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay. So polyphenols are natural compounds characterized by multiple phenol units, including flavonoids, tannins, ellagic acid, flavonols, triterpenes. As a class, they help to keep arteries healthy and flexible, very important. We still see a lot of sudden deaths in men in the 40s and 50s, severely premature. Had a recent one recently, a high-profile person. And when arteries get stiff, blood pressure goes up, atherosclerosis occurs, the coronary arteries are blocked, sudden death can occur anytime. Polyphenols in a wide variety of fruits and vegetables rather than the processed animal fat foods that people love to eat nowadays help to keep arteries flexible and healthy, help to keep blood pressure normal, improve circulation, and exert powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. And polyphenols are not only found in berries, but they're found in onions, herbs, green leafy vegetables, and other fruits as well. Apples, pears, peaches, our jamun berries, dunks, mangoes, local as well as overseas fruit. Polyphenols. Now, some polyphenols are well known. Quercetin, which I've talked about a lot. Resveratrol, ellagic acid. We'll come back to these in a little while. There are more than 8,000 polyphenols identified so far by biochemists and nutritionists, and there are yet many, many more not yet identified. Blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, pomegranates, and a host of green leafy vegetables are packed with these polyphenols. Polyphenols are powerfully antioxidant, powerfully anti-inflammatory. Now, quercetin is one of the most powerful in boosting the immune system, reducing cancer risk, reducing inflammation, and protecting breast, lungs, stomach, gut from cancers. And it is very important in that it helps zinc to get into the inside of cells. So it is called a zinc ionophore, helps the zinc ion get inside the cell. And zinc is very important for the innate arm of the immune system, the T cells, the T killer cells, the macrophages and phagocytes that attack any invader as a first response of the immune system, and then process it for the adaptive arm, which has to make antibodies, and that will take time. So you need a good, strong first response innate arm, because if you have to wait for the adaptive arm to make antibodies, and that is going to take time, and you don't have a good innate arm of the immune system to do some damage to the invader earlier clock, that you could be in trouble. So we need to keep our innate or first response arm of the immune system, the T killer cells, the macrophages, the phagocytes, the ordinary white blood cells, in tip-top shape. And sugar doesn't help that arm, and unhealthy eating doesn't help that arm, but an abundance of fruits and vegetables, exercise, adequate rest, and avoiding sugar and refined processed stuff certainly helps the innate arm to be stronger, as we shall see. Now we come to cranberries, called a superfood for good reason. Cranberries have numerous health benefits. One study found that out of 20 common fruits, cranberries have the highest levels of polyphenols. Here are a few: quercetin itself, myricetin, peonidin, and ursolic acid. Now, ursolic acid has come into focus as a protector of organs against cancer, prostate, bladder, stomach, myricetin, and peonidin. These are powerful bioflavonoid polyphenols that also are anti-inflammatory and all help to strengthen the immune system. Some of these polyphenols also exert antiviral properties as well. Cranberries. Cranberries are massively produced in USA, for example, and other countries, and are exported. So they're usually available in every country. We have them here in Barbados in the raw, fresh state or frozen, and they are quite reasonable. And we shall see more about their properties. They also contain what we call an A-type proanthocyanidin. What does this mean? Well, these proanthocyanidins are a condensed form of tannins, and this kind of compound, this is what it does. Prevents bacteria, this type of compound, this type of polyphenol, prevents bacteria from sticking to the bladder and the urinary tract, and therefore it helps to prevent, more importantly than treat, helps to prevent urinary tract infections. The prevention here is the emphasis, helps to prevent urinary tract infections. Also, studies have shown that these same tannins, polyphenols, the A-type proanthocyanidins in cranberries, help to prevent Helicobacter pylori, a germ that loves to live in the stomach, from attaching to the stomach lining, thereby reducing the risk of stomach cancer. Just to pause there for a minute. Helicobacter pylori, suggested as a germ living in the stomach for a long time, from as early as 1798, a pathologist saw it, but the other doctors didn't agree or ignored, until in 1980s when two Australian pathologists really hit the nail on the head, and they had to do a bit of self-sacrificing research. They had to swallow the organism and get infected to convince their colleagues that it was a germ that could live in the stomach, because doctors at that time thought that the acidity of the stomach prevented any germ from living in the stomach. But this germ, this bacterium, Helicobacter pylori, can live in the stomach and protects itself from the acid by producing ammonia from urea, and hides in the mucus and eats away at the stomach lining, causing stomach inflammation, chronic gastritis, causing certain strange reactions. It can cause certain cells in the stomach to overproduce acid, causing an ulcer in the duodenum, a peptic ulcer in the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestine, or it can cause gastric ulceration, or it can cause stomach inflammation, that is gastritis, and most seriously of all, if it lives there long enough, it can cause stomach cancer. Helicobacter pylori, now regarded as a major cause of stomach disorders, peptic ulcer, inflammation of the stomach, stomach cancer. And it loves junk food. Helicobacter pylori loves the refined processed foods that people eat and animal products. But if you start eating more green leafy vegetables and more fruit, it gets vexed. It doesn't like that. So it loves the food that this generation loves and hates the food that this generation hates but should love. So green leafy vegetables and fruits doesn't like, and the research is showing that the type A proanthocyanidins in cranberry, just as in the bladder and urinary tract, they prevent bacteria like E. coli from sticking onto the bladder, causing cystitis, which is more common in women than men. The same type A proanthocyanidin can stop Helicobacter pylori from getting a strong foothold in the stomach and help to get it eradicated, and thereby reducing the risk of stomach problems and stomach cancer. Back here again, and you can still see? Everybody can still see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So notice this important point. Not only do these type A proanthocyanidins help to prevent bacteria from sticking to the lining of the urinary tract and bladder to prevent urinary tract infections, UTIs, but also help this vagabond called Helicobacter pylori from attaching to the stomach lining, thereby reducing the risk of stomach conditions like chronic gastritis and stomach cancer. Cardiovascular protection. Cranberries help to reduce arterial stiffness and keep the blood pressure nice and low normal. Remember, the normal blood pressure is considered to be 110/70. 110/70, or even 100/60, those are good blood pressures. Those are blood pressures that once upon a time people used, and some people still do, call them low. We now understand that you want that blood pressure nice and low. People knocking about with the blood pressure, walking about with the blood pressure, knocking around 130 something, over 80 something, and calling it all right. The research is showing that that is really not all right. It gradually stresses out the arterial wall, increases arterial stiffness, puts damage on the kidney, the filtration apparatus, and predisposes to atherosclerosis, heart attack, and stroke. So you want that blood pressure 110/70, 100/60, nice and low, all the way up to they say all the way up to 70 or beyond. 70, 75. You want that blood pressure nice and low. And the cranberries help to do that. All berries help to do it. All fruits, in fact, and green leafy vegetables. Another thing about cranberries is that they increase the good cholesterol, which biochemically is called high-density lipoprotein cholesterol. And when that is increased, that is good, because that is the lipoprotein that takes cholesterol out of the arteries and takes it back to the liver. And the cranberry bioflavonoids, polyphenols, help to lower the bad cholesterol, which is the LDL, low-density lipoprotein cholesterol, which tends to be deposited, especially if free radical oxidized in the arteries. Another thing that cranberries and all berries do, they help to reduce levels of homocysteine, and homocysteine inflames the arteries, predisposing to stroke. And cranberries, therefore, reduce the risk of artery and heart disease. In fact, all berries do. Cranberries do so the best because of certain polyphenols. Cranberries and immunity. Well, recent research written up in the journal Advances in Nutrition and reported in July 2016.
Like that shit, got him Christopher. He gonna pass up. Oh, you know, bro. You good, man?
I'm hearing some feedback from someone who has their audio on. Please bear that in mind. Recent researchers, Advances in Nutrition, July 2016, reported that cranberries improve the gut microbiome, that is the friendly bacteria in the gut, and thereby improve the metabolic health and immunity. These are amazing discoveries now showing that when you improve gut bacteria, the healthy bacteria in the gut, you improve overall body health, improve metabolic health, and improve immunity. And some of these mysteries are now being understood because apparently some of these polyphenols cause the bacteria in the gut to produce other compounds which are absorbed and are beneficial for the entire body. These things we are now beginning to understand. And cranberries improve gut microbiome health, and that improves the overall metabolic health and immunity. And also, as I said before, cranberry antioxidants strengthen the innate arm of the immune system. And in combination with oil of oregano, and vitamin D, cranberries or cranberry extract can give powerful immune defense against viruses. Now, talking a little bit about oil of oregano or oregano itself. Oregano you can grow in your backyard in a bucket. It doesn't stop growing. It is an immortal herb, they call it, just grows. But it is powerful. You can put it as seasoning, the term we use when we're doing our lentil stews or bean stews and your rice, whatever. You can put it in a green shake, a green smoothie, oregano. And the oil of oregano, which is also available, contains a concentrated form of the polyphenols in oregano, and they have been shown to be powerfully antivirus. In fact, researchers tested the effectiveness of the oil of oregano against rhinoviruses, influenza viruses, respiratory syncytial virus, and adenoviruses. And this is and found that this oil of oregano was in fact quite powerful against these viruses. Also, looking at the substances inside of oil of oregano, it contains cavracol and other important ingredients that are very, very powerful indeed, and help to contains cavracol, thymol, terpenine, and thiamine. And these polyphenols in oregano, just to mention it here, although we are dealing with berries, oregano and oil of oregano, also some of them found in basil, that other herb, they're all related. They are powerful antiviral properties, oil of oregano. And therefore, they help to fight off respiratory viruses and also strengthen the innate immune arm. So you can understand, I was reading a researcher talking about the combination of cranberries or cranberry extract with oil of oregano to keep our immune systems and our respiratory tract in tip-top shape under the present global conditions. And we need to do that. We can't depend on anything else as good as we can depend on what will strengthen our immune system and keep it in tip-top shape. And we will revisit that in a moment. Now, berries give whole body protection. Blueberries for the brain, raspberries for reducing breast cancer risk in women, blackberries for the heart, cranberries for urinary tract, stomach, gut health, immunity, and arteries, and all berries reduce cancer risk. You can use berries in a berry smoothie, in any kind of shape. In terms of the cranberries, if you get the unfrozen ones, you can just blend them and strain off the juice and keep it. They are low, very low in sugar, so they're not going to be interfering with your blood sugar. You can blend them whole in your fruit smoothie or berry smoothie. The value of berries. Now, just before we go on, just one particular caution here. Now, blueberries, strawberries, and especially cranberries, and a lot of foods like onions and so on, contain what we call oxalates, or oxalic acid oxalates. And there are some people whose metabolism tend to allow oxalates to precipitate, forming kidney stones. So people with kidney stones or a history of kidney stones or prone to kidney stones are usually cautioned on the amount of these oxalate-containing foodstuffs, which are otherwise good in their use. In that case, a cranberry extract would be better for those persons, or for anybody who wants to use it, rather than the whole cranberry, which may contain a bit too much oxalate for a person prone to oxalic acid stones in the kidney. A cranberry extract is available. It is a very cheap extract indeed, but with a marbaton, to use the Barbadian term, of benefits. Of course, we mentioned already that the purple onion is also rich in quercetin. So these things that God has given in nature, the onions, the herbs, the green leafy vegetables, the berries, contain these amazing substances that strengthen immunity, reduce cancer risk, and are good for all organ protection. Back here now, and you can still see, everybody can still see the screen?
Yes, please.
Okay. Now let's look at a little bit of history, the seeds in berry history. These berries are believed to be native to Asia. The wild raspberries have been eaten since prehistoric times. Cultivation began in England and France during the 1600s. And then the evergreen blackberry is native to England and appeared in the USA in the mid-1800s. The Pilgrim Fathers and the other Protestants leaving Europe took across more and more of these and came from the east to Europe and then across. We have Ellen White talking a lot about them in terms of these berries and eaten fresh and wild and how healthy they are. The Northeast Native American tribes revered blueberries. The calyx forms the shape of a perfect five-pointed star, and the tribe's elders told of the mythology of a great spirit in these berries to relieve their children's hunger during a famine. Of course, that is the American Native Indians. That's the blueberry. Colonists learned from Native Americans how to gather blueberries, dry them under the summer sun, and store them for the winter. We have the Spread of Prophecy talking about storing those fruits in her day for winter use because they're so packed with vitamin C and polyphenols and all of the other good stuff. So the berries came originally from the East, Europe, and then across the Atlantic with the Pilgrim Fathers to the USA. Native American settlers and animals all took part in bringing berries from the northwest of the USA down to California. And California, because of its climate, became a very good place to grow and harvest all varieties of berries. Just the facts now. Blueberries are the second most popular berry among Americans after strawberries. And blueberries are extremely good for the brain. They contain polyphenols that reduce the formation of the beta amyloid plaque, improve memory, help to strengthen the lipid structure of the brain. So when it comes to the brain, blueberries come in at #1. But they also help to protect the cardiovascular system. The tayberry, the loganberry, the boysenberry are hybrids of blackberries and raspberries, joining the two together. See some of them there. We don't see these in our parts of the world, but people on our Zoom here from North America will know of these. They grow in abundance and wild up there, and certain wild animals feast on them as well. That's the loganberry and the tayberry, hybrids between the blackberry and the raspberry, and the boysenberry. The boysenberry is a type of trailing blackberry cultivated in California, and Walter Knott began selling it as his roadside fruit stand in the mid-1930s. There are 4 colors of raspberries. We didn't know, we only know of the red one, but there are gold raspberries, black raspberries, purple raspberries, and red. And raspberries contain a very powerful polyphenol that reduces the risk of breast cancer in women. Red raspberries, gold raspberries, purple, and red. Cranberries are related to blueberries and grow on long vines in bogs and marshes, and they grow in abundance in Asia, especially Southern Europe and North America, especially southern states of North America and California. And they are extremely rich in all of these polyphenols that we've been talking about. So some of the homegrown fats, back in the Spread of Prophecy time, people were encouraged to grow these fruits or to go walking and pick them wild. In the USA, California leads the nation in the production of fresh raspberries. In Northern California, raspberries are harvested during May, September, October. And back in the days, the people were advised to keep a good supply for winter, where they would keep the resistance up, all of these berries, the resistance up against winter colds and flus. Blackberries were harvested through late July through September, and blueberries in May through early August. So they're mostly harvested then from late spring through the summer into early autumn. And in Southern California, raspberries and blackberries harvested towards later autumn. And blueberries have a good supply throughout most of the year from mid-March through to October, blueberries. And these berries, as we just explained, are wonderfully good for overall health, protecting brain, cardiovascular system, heart, and we focus on the cranberry and the properties it has for protecting against a variety of problems. Now, getting back to some of the things we mentioned earlier, in terms of keeping the immune system in best shape, remember the principles we already looked at. Let me just go over them again. Remember to keep your immune system in tip-top shape. We talk about regular exercise, strengthens the immune system. Adequate sleep at night strengthens the immune system, very important. Avoiding sugar and refined processed carbs because they weaken the immune system. There's nothing that will dysregulate an immune system like too much sugar, refined sugars, and refined processed carbs. You put white blood cells in a test tube and add sugar, the white blood cells slow down in their movement. So imagine a microbe, a virus challenging you, and a white blood cell on its way to do its first response, and your blood is full of sugar, it will slow it down. That is why diabetes and pre-diabetes and too much sugar are not good at all in this COVID-19 environment. We mentioned already that apart from exercise, adequate rest, avoiding sugar and refined processed carbs, the importance of fruits and vegetables. And today we focused on the berries, all of them, and cranberries, and our local ones like jamuns and dunks and so on. And one of these days, I will share more of the research going on tamarind seeds. But all of these things contain quercetin, which, as I said before, strengthens the immune system, helps to get zinc into the cells. So if we are keeping our immune system in tip-top shape, remember exercise, rest, a healthy diet, the New Start formula, and the fruits and vegetables and the green leafy vegetables and the herbs that are rich in these polyphenols and are also anti-inflammatory: turmeric, ginger, clove, oregano, sage, basil, spinach. And we mentioned that the oil of oregano contains cavracol, which is powerful against viruses, respiratory viruses. And as I said, the researcher was looking at people using cranberry extract and oil of oregano in winter months to keep the immune system in tip-top shape against viral attack. And then we already stressed the importance of having adequate vitamin D intake in the context of the times in which we live, 5,000 units of vitamin D a day, and adequate sunlight. And sometimes adequate sunlight is not probable or possible for many people. And you need to make sure that your vitamin D level is adequate, because if the vitamin D level is below 30 nanograms per liter, you're going to be in trouble. 30 nanograms per ml, you're going to be in trouble. You want it between 50 and 80, because vitamin D is anti-inflammatory. It strengthens the innate arm of the immune system and helps the immune cells produce two proteins, defensin and catalycidin, which blocks the spike protein from connecting. So vitamin D is crucial. Zinc we mentioned already, and quercetin on its own right, and because it helps zinc to get into the immune cells and all the cells. And we mentioned vitamin C, of course, in your fruits and vegetables, and vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams a day, within the context of healthy eating and healthy living, keeps the immune system in tip-top shape. Many researchers are saying not to forget magnesium along with zinc, because magnesium, a lot of people may not be getting enough magnesium if they're eating processed foods. You get magnesium from nuts and seeds. You get, let me just mention again, you get zinc from lentils. You get zinc from pumpkin seeds. You get zinc from wheat germ. You get zinc from a whole range of grains. And you get magnesium from cashews and whole nuts and green leafy vegetables. For example, pumpkin at this time of when we're in the conky season, pumpkin is a very good source, and the pumpkin skin as well, of these trace minerals and other minerals as well. So zinc and magnesium, quercetin, along with vitamin D and C. And we mentioned the anti-inflammatory properties of turmeric, curcumin, which reduces the inflammatory reaction that may accompany the attack on the virus by the immune system. And vitamin D is so good because it not only strengthens the immune system, but it also reduces inflammation. And then we mentioned, of course, N-acetylcysteine, which strengthens the respiratory tract, helps each cell to make more glutathione, keeps the mucus flowing rather than thickening in the lungs, and at higher dosages can be very, very effective should any virus come a-calling on the respiratory tract. N-acetylcysteine, NAC, called NAC. Usually a 600 milligram capsule, one twice a day routinely, and you can step it up in a condition in which you are threatened or come in contact with the virus. Then last time we mentioned, of course, the usual herbs that are protective, and we mentioned astragalus that they're looking at now to help lengthen the telomeres on the chromosomes of the immune cells, making them stronger in their memory, because the immune cells must remember the particular invader and pass on that memory to the cells that make antibodies. Memory cells, you have B lymphocyte memory cells and T memory cells, and they remember and pass on the memory to the adaptive immune system to make antibodies if the particular thing comes again. And you want those memory cells to be strong in their molecular coding to remember the particular virus. Some memory cells can remember the virus for life. For example, if you catch measles once, your immune cells will remember it for virtually your life. But sometimes in other viral infections, the memory fades off after a time. That is why we come back to keeping the innate arm of the immune system in the best possible condition. And we have to tell young people out there that alcohol, cigarette smoking, high sugar foods, not sleeping at night, and a lot of young people are getting obese as well and eating badly. All of that will dysregulate the immune system. You hear that a young person comes down with the virus and is very ill, and you hear the usual declaration, no underlying condition, and that is usually a myth, because when you check, you will see that the eating has been bad, the alcohol consumption has been up, smoking and so on, and although you can't put a particular diagnosis, their immune systems have been dysregulated by bad eating and bad habits. Very important to understand the importance of sleep, exercise, no alcohol, no tobacco. And as a people, we know those principles. And then eating an abundance of vegetables and the polyphenol containing foods to strengthen our immunity. So in the climate that is around us, the virus, and now we're hearing of another mutant, and the need to keep our immune system in the best possible shape. Let me go over these again: vitamin D, vitamin C, quercetin, zinc, N-acetylcysteine, turmeric, ginger, adequate rest, adequate exercise, avoiding sugar, not overeating, and getting some sunlight, and doing our best to keep our immune systems in the best shape. Well, let's see if maybe focus on berries. And those of you who are here on the Zoom and who live in North America, you get an abundance of these. When we used to go up to camp meetings in North America, we used to walk and pick the wild blueberries. And these berries are rich. You check councils on that. In the middle pages, you see some writings on them. And cranberries, which we can get down here, we just look at how useful they are to prevent bacteria from sticking on to stomach or bladder and strengthening the innate immune system. And they also have antiviral compounds. And we focus on oregano, and everybody can have some oregano growing in a pot in their backyard and put it in their stews or whatever. I usually put a bunch in a green shake on mornings. It is important then to keep our immune systems in the best possible shape, especially in the environment and the conditions in which we live. Okay, well, I'm stopping here and allowing some questions because we want to finish right on time for the last session. Any questions?
Some observations. I find that the dried cranberries, usually you have to watch the labels because they usually have sugar on them.
Yes, a lot of these dried berries, they add sugars to them. Why, I don't know, but you have to watch that. Yes, that is not ideal, but they do it. But here in Barbados, we know a lot of women talk about cranactin, which is sold by one health food store, which is a special cranberry extract to help prevent the risk of bladder infection. But a lot of research is now being done on cranberry for stomach protection, bladder protection, keeping the arteries flexible, and reducing the risk of cancer overall. And as we said, that combination of cranberry extract or the cranberry fruit and just juice it and drink some, and oil of oregano, which is also a cheap supplement, or simply the oregano in your green shake. That combination is very good in the fight against viruses and in keeping the immune system in tip-top shape. Any other questions? Well, you would have heard that this variant, the scientists have looked at it in South Africa, and it has now been identified in a number of countries. So the USA is banning travel from South Africa and a few other countries, and it has quite a number of political leaders on edge. And as we know, when this is all passed and we're going down the road, other things will happen. We have to keep our health. That is the reason for the health reform message. Have to keep our health and our immune systems in tip-top shape by following these principles of health reform. And it is important for us to, as the quotation I gave last night in a health talk to an Adventist group, there's that famous quotation where the Spirit of Prophecy says, we are to study our bodies and we are responsible to God for guarding this building which He has given us, and for always finding out the things in nature that can strengthen us and help us. God does not excuse ignorance, nor does He answer prayer arbitrarily if we refuse to take care of our bodies and search for knowledge concerning our bodies, like in other areas, to do the best to maintain our health. Very important. So we have to understand that we're in serious times as we rush down towards final events. And to survive in these terrible times, we have to remember that salvation is our number one priority. Health is our number two, because only in good health can we do God the best service. And reading again in the Spirit of Prophecy and Ministry of Healing, you see the emphasis put on maintaining the health of body in trusting God and obeying the principles of primary prevention and health reform. I saw something there in the chat. Let me just check it. I think, Sister Donna, can you read that question for me, please, in the chat, that comment?
It said it's a question from YouTube. How about mulberries? We have a tree, but the birds love them more. How do you convert US to GL?
Repeat that, please.
It says, how about mulberries? We have a tree, but the birds love them more. And then the other part of the question is, how do you convert US to GL? I don't know, G/L.
Well, mulberries, I've been looking at them recently. I have to do some more research on them. They're also extremely good berries, and they're very good for gut health. And they're also powerful in terms of certain particular polyphenols, strengthening gut microbiome and enhancing the immune system. The other part of the question I'm not getting clearly, so I'll have to check that and get back to the person. Sorry, Sister Ricardo. Nanograms per ml. How you convert nanograms per ml to nanomoles per liter, that depends on the molecular weight of the particular thing, but I can get that to you privately. It is just like how you convert millimoles of glucose to milligrams per deciliter, the American unit to the British unit, by a factor of 18. There's a factor there for cholesterol. I'll check it and get it to you.
She didn't ask the question, and it was a Jeff Cox on YouTube that asked that question.
Okay, all right. So we'll get the answer when we check it and get the answer. You can also check it, Google it, and they give you the answer as well. Okay.
So,
all right, any more questions or comments? We can have an early finish, a break, and then Lillicott will take over.
You said you can use the CRANBERRIES, but should it be used regularly or just if you have an issue?
If a woman is prone to urinary tract infections, she may have to use cranberry more consistently, or the CRANBERRIES, which is the special extract of the type A Proanthocyanidins, until the issue is corrected. It's preventive, helps to prevent. It means may have to be drinking more water, not holding the urine, but heeding the call of nature and things like that.
Okay.
All right, Doc, you mentioned tamarins in passing, and gooseberries. I haven't seen gooseberries for a long time, but can you expand a bit on that combination, tamarins and gooseberries, local gooseberries?
Yes, those are local gooseberries, which used to be abundant before 1960, but with increasing construction, all those things gone. And tamarins, they are rich in polyphenols and rich in quercetin. And our gooseberry has a relation to the Indian amla berry, and they have found very important substances there that are very good for arterial health, helping to prevent the buildup of atherosclerotic plaque that causes heart attack and stroke. And someday we'll talk more about that. And the tamarins contain also very good bioflavonoids. You can boil the tamarind, for example, with some ginger and turmeric and strain it off. And that is a powerfully anti-inflammatory immune boosting drink. Tamarind, ginger, turmeric, boil and strain and keep it in the fridge and drink a little bit every day. Very good to keep the respiratory tract and the immune system in tip-top shape. You have the quercetin, you have the curcuminoids, all of that in that drink there. And the other day, we blended some cranberries and also blended some raw ginger straight from a pot in the yard and strained it off. And the combination of the cranberry and the ginger gives a very pleasant taste. The ginger tends to cut some of the acidity, no sugar, and a very pleasant drink. You can dilute it with water and drink, helps the stomach and the bladder and the immune system. So these things we should take note of. We have the instruction from the Spirit of Prophecy to know more about ourselves and what is available in nature to guard this building. That's the term the Spirit of Prophecy uses, building given us of God. So we're glad that God has given us these things that we can use and share the information to help keep our bodies in general, our immune systems in particular in this kind of time, in the best shape possible. I hope you're all taking your vitamin D, your zinc, your quercetin, your C, eating your fruits and vegetables, and keeping your bodies in tip-top shape.
But Douglin,
One last question then.
your question is just that you can also use the tamarind leaves as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. The tamarind leaves and the tamarind flowers.
Right. In fact, every leaf that is on you can use.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. That's right. Sister Nurse, keep saying that. The pear, you can use the pear leaf, the mango leaf, all of them.
Everything.
The fruit for food and the leaves for healing. Thank you. All right, so I want to thank you as we close off in prayer and get ready for Elder Leacott's session. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, indeed, we thank you for our health discussion, and we thank you for being such a wonderful God as to give us in nature so many natural compounds, some known, some unknown, but they're there. And in the eating of the fruits and the vegetables, the herbs, the leaves, the nuts and the grains, we have the armamentarium, along with rest and exercise and the principles of health reform to keep our bodies in general and our immune systems in particular in the best shape against viruses and other things that will come attacking us in this end time. We thank you. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen. Okay, thank you very much. You have a